See if you're as good with fishing as you are with shooting zombies. I'm not going to play with you. Oh, we're on. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of VR Download, weekly show, broadcast usually Mondays at noon Pacific, or noon 08 Pacific, from the Upload Virtual Studios here that Heaney has created proprietarily for us. And yes, hello, welcome. Like I said, we are live here on YouTube. We've got a lot of our regulars in here, so let's say hello to a few people. I'll scroll all the way up here and see who all is in. Dream is great. Hello. Yes, we were chatting on the previous live stream where we were playing zombie shoot 'em up games. Artful, Dragosh, butt or something. Did I say Artful already? Robert Quinones. Hey, hello, hi, how you doing? Onakazi. All right, we got a big group of people here. Yes, it's very awesome to see. Sexy Bicycle, Andrew King, Christian Sleeps. Hi, I'm your host, Kyle. This is the show where we talk about industry news and hardware, stuff like that. The gaming show, Gamescast, is on Thursdays. But let's see what we got going on today. To my left, who do I have with me on the panel today?
Hello, everyone. Ian Hamilton here, coming to you from Northwest Arkansas, which is now apparently on the list of like up and coming tech places beyond Austin, because we have like dozens and dozens of miles of hiking and biking trails around us, and our initials are AR. So my address looks like I'm already in the augmented reality future.
Are they calling it like the Silicon Basin or something like that? What do they got?
Yeah, I don't know what its name is yet.
David Heaney here. I'm from Northern Ireland, and I'm excited to talk about this week's news.
See, I don't ever say where I'm from because I'm in Seattle. You know, I can spit on Facebook Reality Labs or Meta Reality Labs. It's just right down the road. I go
and the
and
sky is
all
just
the
gray
time.
there, like 24/7, right? Like it's straight out of that novel. The sky is the color of a dead TV. Is that what it is?
Sky is the color of a television tuned to a dead channel. Neuromancer, first line, beautiful first line. Funny thing about that is that nowadays, because everything's digital, a dead channel on television is blue. So it's not quite the same effect. My kids did not appreciate or understand that line. All right. Oh, man. We've got all sorts of fun stuff. So some of you came from the stream previous where we were playing. Ian, what were you guys playing?
Oh, yeah. We were playing After the Fall, which we were sort of getting into it live. I was on Quest 2. I think Jamie was on Quest 2. Xena had a PC showing it for a while there. And then Jamie switched to doing it on Quest 2. And we were having live conversation reports, like hearing that apparently Jamie's going to check it out on PSVR right now to see how that game is holding up over there. Very exciting game. Very, how sick I get. I just spent 2 hours in there and I didn't get sick. I think it was 2 hours, maybe an hour and a half. Didn't get sick. It felt, pretty intense, but I was using the teleport motion and really owning all those zombies and kind of constantly actively attacking everything around me in 360 degrees kept me pretty distracted from that queasy feeling.
Yeah, well, and you were also your accuracy. How did you get your accuracy in headshot up over 100%, Ian? I'm a little confused.
Pistol whip, yeah, right. I practiced. Yesterday was leg day. I've been practicing pistol whip because we've got a lot of content coming out this month from Cloudhead's pistol whip, where I'm just checking out all the latest stuff in there, all the different ways to play. And it's really interesting to kind of see this evolution of auto aim. And Jamie and Zian and I were talking about whether there's auto aim in After the Fall, and it's like you get those zombies up in your face, and you've got a handgun, and it's like you want to feel like you're really taking them out, and I think they're doing a really good job in that game of, at least on the difficulty I was on, of giving you that satisfying feeling.
With as much as you talk about pistol whip, I'm thinking that we should get jackets, like NASCAR drivers, and wear the jackets with all the different games that we like all over it. Is that a thing?
Avatars in the future, we're going to be able to sell sponsored space. That'll be an interesting thing, like regulation wise, whether the platforms will allow that.
Yeah, brought to you by Carl's Jr. Not really. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm pretty excited actually because one of the news pieces here, our first news piece, I actually just did this on my headset, so I'm pretty excited to see. Ian and I were talking about it a bit before. We're gonna have to check it out. All right, so let's dig into this first piece of news today. Quest version 35 update to add iPhone mixed reality capture and messenger calling. Quest version 35 update is coming soon to a headset near you and brings with it mixed reality capture and more. Fresh details right here. This is exciting. So I just updated my headset. Version 35 is on my headset for the first time in a long time. I'm not waiting days to get this. After everybody else, I'm always last. I don't know. So yeah, what do we know about this? How exciting is this, Ian?
It's obviously been years and years and years in the making to see it get to this state. I was playing with mixed reality back in, it had to have been 2016, maybe into 2017, when Fantastic Contraption kind of did some of the pioneering work there, where
Yep, I did that. Yep.
output a 4K a picture to a 4K screen, and then each quadrant is a 1080p, and you can layer like a front and a back, and then put your VR self in the middle, and then you could even track that camera with a tracked movement around a room, and you could do this thing to pull off mixed reality in maybe 2 or 3 games that could support it realistically without incredible amounts of calibration every single time. There's some great apps out there that support this, Live, as well as there's some open source options out there that have been built upon in various ways. I think we found out that Mark Zuckerberg had used some of those open source tools at some point, I think in some of his streams. We were able to figure that out, like he was using some of the community built tools out there. And now we've got this official solution out of Meta that is going to roll out on lots and lots and lots of devices. And as soon as you've got lots of support in apps, it's going to really unlock the ability to see what people are doing in VR in a way we haven't really seen before.
So here's my thing with mixed reality and why, because somebody is actually asking, the Triangulator. That's a good name. I like that. Do people like mixed reality streams of VR? I think it's neat, but hear lots of folks poo-poo it a bit. Well, here's the thing. There are a lot of people, unfortunately, who still don't understand what VR is. And the mixed reality is kind of the entry level version of showing people what VR is. Because if all you see is just somebody waving their hands around or slamming their head into a TV, that's not going to sell it. But when you see this, that's kind of nifty, and everybody kind of wants to at least get their first taste be something a little bit more comprehensive as to what they're doing when they see somebody in VR. So I really do think that this is entry level. I don't know, Heaney, what's your take on mixed reality? I'm really curious.
Yeah, I think like Ian said, we've seen this around for years, since 2016. But what we're really seeing now is every year it gets easier and easier for creators to build videos like this. And I completely agree with you. It does show what it's like to be in a virtual reality experience far more than just showing the first person. Because even back in May, the Oculus app had the ability to show your body overlaid on a first person view. But now we finally get what everyone's been waiting for, which is that third person viewpoint from behind.
Yeah, I'm looking at comments here. One from Bicycle in particular saying they haven't been able to get any of these features to work on their phone. I did get one of the features. I got like the older live overlay one, but I haven't been able to get this one up and running either. And phone notifications are still dead on arrival for me as well. So I'm in the same boat as Bicycle there. And it's taken, quite a long time. I've had a lot of these updates there, just haven't been able to access these features. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So for media sync, you actually need to enable it from inside VR. You can't enable that from the phone app itself. So if you're seeing your media sync area blank, you need to go to the Files app inside the Quest and go into the corner and enable sync there.
And going back to like the people poo-pooing this feature comment, like the thing that's always been troublesome is camera placement per app is kind of what makes or breaks this experience. And if you go see what some YouTubers have done, there's some incredible content creators out there doing just amazing work with camera zooms and like shifting over the scene as they're zooming to center the image on the action, so you really get a sense of like kind of being there over the shoulder. But I think the thing I'm going to bring up here is I'm curious how much third-party camera support ends up being one of these meta features, um like, can you have third-party cameras across different platform systems? Or is it always going to be built-in camera tools?
Do you mean third party as in software or third party hardware?
I'm meaning in the real world, people have selfie
Mm.
sticks and they hold them up and they do this and they pose themselves with their friends in a social space. And this has already been built into some of Facebook's like tools. But like every time I've seen these, or most of the time that I've seen these, at least on Quest, at least, it's a built-in like all video capture is built into the actual system layer. Whereas on PC, it's a little bit more open, right?
So correct me if I'm wrong, Heaney, because I know you'll have the right answer here, but I'm going to try to answer Ian, and then I'll let you correct me. Somebody said, "Oh, geez, it's already on iPhone, but it's not on Android yet, or whatever." The idea of the camera itself, it's all about drivers on the hardware and having one camera. Because on iPhone, everything is very obvious. There's not like 800 different models of it, so it's easy to support the iPhone right out of the box. With the Android, though, you've got this camera uses this driver and connects to the interface this way and this way and this way. And so for your third party, really what you're talking about is how does it actually it's going to be more difficult because there's so many different varieties of hardware. And I think that is the big challenge. I don't know, Heaney, now you can parse that out and tell me what I said that's wrong.
Yes, so I think in terms of what Meta's offering here, it is just through the smartphone app, so it's directly running on a smartphone. Boz did mention in his Ask Me Anything, Andrew Bosworth, the upcoming CTO of Meta, that this is something they're looking into for Android. I think the limitation there right now is that they use ARKit's human segmentation on iOS, which explains it being for the iPhone XS and above, because that's what Apple supports. But for Android, Facebook's Meta is going to have to build its own human segmentation, which we actually know is working on for Messenger and Instagram effects. But it's a question of, can they deploy that into the Oculus app anytime soon? Boz says they're working on it, but he doesn't have any timeline to share.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do I need a green screen to do this?
No, but it might improve the performance of some situations if you do it right. But I have yet to test either situation.
Yeah, the more uniform your background is, the easier that this tool is going to have a time at segmentation, because it is just ARKit's machine learning based segmentation. If you do have a very complex background behind you, you're going to see bits of it leak out on the side, just like a bad green screen job. But in general, if you have a wall that is not covered with objects or posters, you should get a pretty good result on this.
I think the thing that a lot of people struggle with, and I know I did in the very beginning, is lighting is so very important anytime you're doing anything like this. Any type of mixed reality, if you're in a dark, dingy, dungeony type of room, which is what I've tried to do 100 times, you're going to have a bad time. You want to make sure you've got very evenly lit, bright, but not too bright that it causes hot spots. There's some finesse in terms of getting mixed reality working. And I applaud people who get it done well. I've seen some good and I've seen some bad. I feel like this is something like, does our audience want to see, do you guys want to see UploadVR do mixed reality stuff? I mean, let us know in the comments, because I'm not really sure.
Yeah, a couple things. So Facebook did sort of do some legwork here and prove that listings with mixed reality trailer on them seem to perform better on the storefront and sell more copies than listings without a mixed reality trailer. So there's obviously like a getting people into VR aspect to it that I think is just superior. And you go back to the original 2016 HTC Vive campaign from HTC and Valve, where they showed one-to-one, like throwing a stick to a dog, a robot dog type thing, is just incredible. And the tangent I want to go off on here is I've thought about this a lot, and I go back to it like months ago, where I talked about this concept of a pocket full of ROMs, where I've got ROMs for games made in the 80s and 90s that I would like to play with one of you, and I would like to play like an old, I don't know, Sonic or Mario game from the 90s with one of you in VR. How could we do that? What are the technical hurdles? How many big brothers are out there stopping us from technically doing what I just outlined? Now, the games I just described, I pay a subscription to Nintendo, where Nintendo has licensed all of those games. What are the things, again, holding us back from being able to play that together? You notice over on Steam, there is a remote play together feature. I'm absolutely convinced. Yeah, Heenies went and found this video. The remote play together feature on Steam is going to end up being one of Valve's killer features in the long term over on what they can bring to a platform offering with a standalone VR headset if they ever actually get there. ROMs being one example, a pocket full of photos, a pocket full of videos,
A pocket full of sunshine. Oh, that's a song.
And the example I'm thinking of here is, like, in the real world, I've got physical items like my phone that I can use to do things like take videos. And why can't I pull out my phone in a virtual space and take a selfie with it, just like I can a virtual camera? There's just so many things that need to talk between these layers. And there was a comment made by Bosworth in that same AMA where he says he thinks that VR headsets are going to replace a lot of items. Like these glasses will eventually replace so many of the things that we need in the physical world. And I think that part is true. But I'm also really, we have yet to really get this sense of all these capabilities that we really want, like selfies or sharing content. I'm who's going to stop this? Like, the platforms can't, as much as the platforms want to make 30% from selling you a movie on its storefront, they can't stand in the way of this co-located gameplay.
This is so funny to watch that video of all those people. Like, there was easily 20 people in that room all trying to play Nintendo 64 together. That was pretty funny. Oh man, I don't know, Ian. I mean, the metaverse police?
Did Kyle disappear? Yeah, I'm still. The metaverse police came for Kyle. Yeeted him right out of the meta system. No, Kyle's back.
I think he's back.
Hey,
What just
Triangulator,
happened?
thank you for the donation.
What just happened?
The meta police. You said the meta police.
I know.
and
I said the meta
literally-
police, and then all of a sudden it was like it was like knocking at my door. It's like, hey, meta police, we're coming in. Like, oh man, what just happened? That was amazing. Okay.
Guilty of meta crime.
Oh, you know what's funny? My left controller
Straight to meta jail.
is updating.
Yeah,
I have a little message that
happened.
says left controller update in progress. Wow.
All right, yeah, Ian, you
Wow.
were going to shout out the triangulator there?
Oh yeah, Triangulator, thank you so much for the donation and your comment. Love the channel and all your great content. Cheers. Mixed reality done well could help the allure with new VR adopters, since flat video just can't relay the sense of immersion. Nailed it. The example, the reason I went off on that tangent is, imagine holding like a virtual apple or a virtual anything and like throwing it at a person across the room and them dodging, like, and they're in the physical reality looking through their phone. That's what we really want out of like all of this. And you can only do that with really good human segmentation and amazing tracking across the board.
Just want to bring up Nicholas Johansson's comment here. He was just pointing out, as we were saying, to be clear, the news today isn't that mixed reality capture has been added to Quest, because that was already possible through third-party apps like Reality Mixer and Live. The news here is simply that it is built into the Oculus app for iPhone XS and above to make it much easier for non-technical people to do it. So yeah, that's a very good point to bring up.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think my hands are back. That's good.
Robert,
Awesome.
bringing up the Valve that they have the remote play together feature, which could make work with VR and combined with remote play together, anyone could do the same. Like that's exactly where we're going. Yeah, if Valve and Steam can bring that to not only like their handheld system, if they could make that work with VR, a future VR system, and you're playing 2D games in this co-located way, I would lose it. I would love that. Geese Godin from Virtual Desktop sometimes tunes into our broadcasts. If you leave a comment on this feature, Guy, we will read it out loud.
Yeah, I mean, wow. Okay. So messenger calling, Ian. I know you and I have talked about that quite a bit over the since it's been mentioned. Do you really find a value, like if you and I talk every once in a while, not in the studio, would you want me to say, hey, put your headset on, I'll call you on Messenger in VR, or is this simply necessary for while you are in VR to give an option to have a conversation without leaving your respective title? I mean, what do we know about how this would work?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I immediately, as soon as this feature hit, or as soon as that update hit, I tried to go in and find it. And I think it's one of those gated features that kind of needs to be active. What I tried first was the party feature, obviously, which is party is going to be making a party and then switching your audio channel from the party chat to the app that you're in, and then to mute. Having that option and having it be usable to the end user and not like hidden in a menu or really hard or confusing. It has taken literally years of development on Facebook's side to like go through iterations to have that feature, and I was able to find it. What the next step is, whether they're going to activate any kind of fundamental calling feature for these VR headsets, and I'm absolutely convinced that like. And it's funny, like let me think back on this. I sent 2 emails to Steve Jobs, the former.
He's dead, right?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I sent
he's
2
not going to
emails
answer. Okay.
to him before he died.
Okay.
And it was back when they were rolling out the FaceTime feature for iOS. And the ability to take a call with your phone or your iPod Touch did this amazing thing of wresting some control away from the carriers when it comes to like making peer-to-peer calls on cell phone platform. Like now I could make a phone call from an iPod Touch to a phone without having cell service. And I remember being blown away by that at the time and emailing like Steve Jobs and saying, hey, are you going to add iPod Touches or like another way other than a phone number for you to actually add and be able to participate in these calls? Where is the VR equivalent of that? How can you add a VR headset to our existing phone calls? Heaney, you pointed out to me that I could take a FaceTime call using the progressive web app architecture, right? And I did kind of get that up and running. But like when will we have VR headsets that sit on our dock and either you hear a knock on them or a phone ringing sound, and then you put them on and you decide whether to answer the call or not? At some point that has to happen, right?
I mean, when my phone rings right now, like it actually rings that somebody is making a voice call to me, I ignore it because who's calling me?
I will.
Yeah.
All right. The one thing, the Steve Jobs story, I will say, he did respond. That was the missing piece. He did respond to one of those emails. So I did get an email reply that like
from Steve Jobs.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
I did get one reply. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you right now, if you emailed Steve Jobs today, Ian, he'd probably
I don't think
ghost you.
Yeah.
He'd probably ghost you. Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oh, I'll be here all day.
I saw that coming halfway through the joke.
I know. I was sitting on it for so long, waiting for you to stop talking so I could do that joke.
Man.
Oh, I love it. It is kind of funny though, because phone calls in and of itself, like voice phone calls, just don't happen anymore. I mean, talk, text and data, but not really. Just text and data mostly.
I love the new Pixel feature where there's a third option now. Instead of just answer or ignore, there's screen where the Google Assistant will actually take the call and show you a transcript of it doing the call for you. It's very useful.
Well, the reason I got into this is we were just debating whether he could support the destinations feature that's on Quest. And I think I was digging into this destinations feature, and there's like a line, I think, on the destinations feature, whether you're actually in an immersive headset to be able to go to the destination. If you're not actually in a headset, maybe you can't actually go. But like Heaney, I'm fascinated by this, like mechanically, if you, me, and Kyle are in a party on the Oculus system, how would we go to Walkabout Mini Golf and a specific course in Walkabout Mini Golf and take our audience with us? How would that work?
Well, us three could go, sure. Take the audience with us part is the part that I don't understand how that would work. But of course, yeah, in a party, you just open the party and go launch app and pick Walkabout Mini Golf and pick the course. Quite a few apps support that now. Arizona Sunshine as well. But yeah, I don't know, how would the audience come with us? That's a completely different question that I don't think has any good answer anytime soon.
We can't just put them in our pocket full of audience, like your ROMs.
Well, OBS.
How could
OBS
we do
would
that?
switch it over.
I mean, basically whatever. So
How
OBS is streaming what you see right now, Heaney, right?
Yeah, sure. It's streaming a Windows PC app, which is running this studio and deciding to automatically switch the cameras. But how would it then open up a version of Walkabout Mini Golf, a PC version designed for a 2D non-VR viewpoint? The game itself would have to be designed for that.
That's where I get curious about the mixed reality capture tool. Like if Walkabout Mini Golf supports mixed reality maybe Beat Saber is a better example where we know that they're pretty robustly supporting the mixed reality. But like, how
then you would be streaming from the phone.
Yeah. So what I'm imagining is like, what if we had a phone or a pad hooked up to OBS, and then we switched basically from being here in the studio to that OBS view from a phone, and just do that right at the moment we go in. Is that how it would work? I don't know. This sounds like disaster.
I mean, that's what you got to try those things. That's how we figure out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, I think long term, what will need to happen for that to be really seamless is they'll need to be able to be kind of cloud clients for these games that are designed solely as kind of these headless cloud clients just for streaming. It's conceivable, but it would need a lot of platform integration and developer support.
Can we talk a little bit, Heaney? Let's get kind of in the nitty gritty of the dev section of this. When we talk about all these games that you can do the mixed reality with, which is only like a handful, a pocketful, what does the developer need to do to allow that mixed reality or overlay or whatever you want to call it? Don't they have to do something special in their development process to allow that type of thing to happen?
It's nothing complicated because it's a built-in feature of the Oculus Unity integration. So the Unity package that you as a developer of a VR Unity app would download to support Oculus in the first place. It's not necessary to download this. You can use the built-in support, but for any of the platform features and even any of the interesting features like hand tracking, you'll want to download it. So I'm pretty sure the vast majority of Oculus apps do have this already. At that point, it is a few clicks and a few lines of code. So you do actually get a lot more support for this in games than people would think just because it's been supported. And that's how those third-party apps like Reality Mixer have been able to support this feature for a year or more. But now what we're just seeing is simply that feature is supported in the Oculus app.
But whenever you see this, you see people do Beat Saber and all these other things. But where's After the Fall? Where's like I wanted to watch that, not from one of the person's perspectives, but from a third person view. Where is, like, how come that's not happening more frequently?
Yeah, it's really hard to do this stuff live. That's another thing to talk about. Like our show here, doing this live on the internet, we've encountered every single a bug imaginable where you've got a different reality than the reality that I'm seeing. Like, it's so hard to do this stuff live, and that's especially true of broadcast.
Yeah, so the main issue with things like After the Fall is that those games are very, very heavy. So what the Oculus integration is essentially doing for mixed reality capture is rendering a third eye. And in something like Beat Saber or a simple puzzle game where you're in a very simple environment, that's taxing but not the end of the world. But in something like After the Fall, it's pushing a Quest to, a mobile chip to its absolute limits. A third eye is just going to push you beyond that limit, and you're going to get to the point where the person in VR is just going to have a very low frame rate, a juddery experience. So that's why you don't really see it on those higher end games yet. It's an interesting conversation, because the question is how, when we do want to keep pushing these headsets to the limit, do you get these higher end games streamed in mixed reality? The possible solutions could include the phone running a dedicated mini client of the game, the PC running a separate client, or, like I said before, a cloud client that's on a platform level, which is probably the preferable option, but will take years of platform kind of services and building to get to that point.
Ian, what are you smoking over there?
Yeah, I'm lost it because I'm remembering back to the After the Fall stream that Xena, Jamie, and I just did, and he's got a review in progress up on the site, but obviously it's going to take a couple days to get the full thoughts out there. But like, there was this whole moment in our stream where Xena is streaming the PC version of After the Fall, and one of the giant zombies has fallen butt up in front of us, and it's like sending its shiny butt out for Xena to look at in beautiful PC quality for her to consume. And then over on my Quest, I'm not getting that quite same experience. And then there was another point in the like the zombie fighting where I saw a zombie hanging from the roof, and it was really, really funny because you could like shoot it and it would wiggle in really weird directions. And I couldn't tell which of those funny things the other people with me at that moment could see. And thinking of like the mixed reality where we're like, this giant zombie butt is right in front of me. It's the most awkward, weirdest thing imaginable. And like, I wished it was funny to imagine a mixed reality capture of that whole scene of like just this giant zombie butt and all of us standing around it in a semicircle on 3 different continents, pointing out the zombie. Like,
we really truly are in the world of idiocracy now, because it's just a butt on the screen. Ian wants just the zombie butt on the screen.
We did this whole thing. We spent a few minutes of it, and that's the true power of mixed reality. Is we could all point at the weird zombie butt and how it looks different on Quest versus PSVR versus PC. That's what we could do with mixed reality.
But okay. Yeah. Right. So Heaney, the essentially power consumption, rendering. I mean, the third eye. For those of you who are into that sort of thing, the third eye is hard to render. I get it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, do we want to talk about anything else on Quest version 35? Yeah. All right. Let's do it.
Oh, actually.
What?
Yeah, now that you mentioned Quest, I thought you were just going to say mixed reality. V35 does bring in what we announced at Connect, cloud backup. So the old glitchy, only supported in a few apps, cloud saves have now been replaced with a little option in the Quest settings that will automatically back up all of the app's saves and settings and everything. So if you want to reset your Quest or you want to uninstall and reinstall an app, you get all your data back. So that is actually arguably the most important feature of V35 to most people.
All right. Cloud backups. It's what Quests crave. Okay. Next piece of news. Looks like we're going back to the SteamVR survey. Quest headsets now make up more than 40% of SteamVR, MetaQuest, and Quest 2. See how nice that rolled off my tongue? Just MetaQuest. Make up more than 40% of Steam's VR usage in November. That's pretty substantial. Are you haven't quite gotten your Pac-Man yet?
Yeah, I'm still mad. Like he refuses to change up the colors. I can't stand it. It's the only comment I have here is that blue one should be yellow. Right?
I don't know.
We'll definitely get. So we're actually getting close to the point where we'll have enough data to really make a compelling video on that. Valve changed its methodology back in March 2020. So we want to have a long range of reliable data before we make a video on that, but we eventually will. And Ian will get his Pac-Man as you watch Meta slowly eat the market. But yeah, the news here is that standalone headsets that run their own operating system and battery and connect to a PC via streaming, they are now beyond 40% of Steam. So only 60% of headsets that were used on SteamVR in November are good old-fashioned raw PC headsets over HDMI and DisplayPort.
And that framing of like only 60% Heaney, like if we see this percentage get larger, we've been staring at the 2 point whatever percentage, like however many, what is it, 1.85% of all SteamVR users or Steam users have VR headsets. Is that what it is?
Yep.
So we've been staring at that number month after month, and it's been hovering around the same percentage of all Steam users. The problem is that Steam percentage users, like they could be adding millions of more Steam users each month, and that percentage would stay the same even if more VR users were getting added each month to the Steam numbers. But if that previous chart, if the 41%, if it goes to like 46%, Heaney, can we attribute that to straight growth in the standalone market, like adding just pure new PC VR users to the mix?
Yeah, that's a great point that you bring up. What this metric measures isn't the raw number of VR users, it's how does the number of PC VR users maintain growth with the general growth of PC gaming in general. And so what I think we can look at the fact that Quest 2 itself grows while the others start to decline as a measure that there's at least some overall growth going on here. And as you say, throughout the pandemic, as you allude to, throughout the pandemic, we know that PC gaming has been growing at unprecedented rates. So sometimes you see people look at this figure and note that it's gone down from its all-time high of above 2%, but you do have to balance that against this general PC VR growth.
I have a comment about this. This is an inaccurate description. I'm going to cause a kerfuffle here. Steam users with VR headsets. How do you know? There are
random
people,
sample. You've had some issues with the hardware survey, haven't you, Kyle? Like Heaney's gone into it in the past, but like
no. Very specifically, I know numerous people who have a VR headset and have Steam, but do not use the VR headset with Steam titles. So they never connected a VR headset to their Steam. There's a whole chunk of those people that exist out there that don't have their VR headset connected to their Steam, but they have one.
Yeah, as a full phrase, it should probably be Steam users with a VR headset that used it on SteamVR in November. That is exactly what we're saying here, but I guess for brevity, they do have to shorten it. But it's a good point. A lot of standalone users probably never actually connected to their PC, even if they do have a VR-capable PC.
That percentage is going to be higher, right? It's going to be way, way larger of the people that have standalone headsets and never connect them to PC versus people that have PC VR headsets that never connect them to Steam.
Yeah, right. And I'm nitpicking just for the sake of clever debate that this does not accurately represent the number of people with VR headsets who also have a Steam account. This is like the minimum presence. Like this is just the lowest number it could be.
Yeah, it at least tells you how many people were using SteamVR in November, or at least what percentage of PC gamers were using SteamVR. And I guess, yeah, you're right to say that it doesn't encapsulate the whole of PC VR usage or even VR usage in general.
Yeah, the percentage of PC gamers using VR each month on the leading storefront is kind of what this measures, and it's still a useful measure, even if it doesn't measure everything.
You know what we haven't seen? All of our charts or pie charts or circles or whatever. Where's the bar charts? I want bar charts of all these numbers.
What would the bar chart be for?
The growth. I want to see every month that we talk about this. I want to see how it goes up.
So what we would have to do is, there's another website out there that does that with those bar charts. And what they do is they take a number that Valve put out, 5 years ago, that says this is the number of Steam accounts we have in this year, and let's say it's 100 million or 80 million. Then you go out there and say 5 years later, Valve has said that we've got 120 million Steam accounts, and you put that bar chart over time along what we know this percentage is, and you start seeing the growth over time. But Heaney and I have gone over it again and again and again, and I don't like how iffy that Steam reporting number is. Like, it's just, you're talking about a range of a couple million PCVR headsets to many million PCVR headsets, and I don't like that range.
Yeah, it's as I was saying to you before, Kyle, we only have reliable data since March 2020, so you just don't have a long-term trend yet. We don't have a long enough time. Also, this has fluctuated up and down over time to the point that you don't actually really see any trend. There essentially is no trend. Because, again, it comes back to that same issue. You're not measuring an absolute value here. You're measuring how the growth of VR compares to the growth of PC gaming in general. And the growth of PC gaming, anyone that installs Steam on their laptop just became a PC gamer. Whereas the growth requirement for VR is that someone goes out and spends at least $300 in addition to already having a VR capable PC. So unfortunately, as much as we would love to be able to give data like that, it's just not viable yet to do it accurately without making a whole bunch of assumptions that are likely wrong.
So this is not news. It's not accurate information. I mean, I'm just trying to find some value to it then.
Well, yeah, the news here today isn't about this absolute value. It's about the relative values of what percentage of these headsets that are being used are standalone versus PC. So that's what the graph we had up before was to show. This is just a peripheral part of the news. The main news itself is the graph we had before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, put up that graph again. Like that's why it's so important that we make the GIF, the GIF, or the video of showing this animation over time, because only when you see the Pac-Manning effect of what Meta is doing here across all functions, like every month, Heaney cuts it a different way. This month, we're seeing this milestone passed in terms of all Oculus-based headsets. They're now over 5 out of 10 headsets. Then this month, we're looking at just the Quest 2. The Quest 2 is over X number of headsets. It's like every month, Meta marches slightly more percentage-wise over all headsets in use. And it's because they're growing the core user base now. Just in the people getting headsets now are people who skipped it for the last 5 to 10 years for good reason. And now they're getting in at a completely different place. And we're going to see these percentages. I'm just so convinced that that 41% is going to be dramatically larger in the next 6 months.
You used the word Pac-Manning. You verbalized the name. Or is Pac-Manning, isn't he a football player, a quarterback? Pac-Manning?
Peyton Manning? Okay. Peyton Manning?
Pac-Manning. Oh.
Man.
Wow, look at this. So I was looking at this earlier before the show, and I'm always kind of interested in how Windows Mixed Reality does. So as it stands right now, they're showing growth of 0.04%. I know it's negligible, but it's growth. Like, when was the last time is this just like the G2? Is that what we're seeing there?
It's the Reverb G2. It's the only one that's still actively selling at any serious rate. The only Windows Mixed Reality headset.
Man. Yeah, no, it's interesting though to see that number still be there and kind of like, breathing. Oh, it's taking your breath. Oh, it's going to go up. I don't know. Valve Index. Everybody's talking about the Valve Index. What is the availability right now of the Index? Can you go and order one and get it 2 weeks later, or is there still a backlog?
It depends on your country. Which country would you like to know about?
I don't know. Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, you get it in 8 years.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always curious about that because, somebody in the chat earlier said, hey, do we think that the Index is going to be a big Christmas, a stocking stuffer? Of course, your stocking would have to be like that big, but I wonder if we could get, it looks like Heaney might be doing some research here.
Yeah, I was
see.
just checking. Across the US and the UK, it is available within 2 to 3 weeks if you want to purchase it. They do have often stock availability issues, but right now the Index is available to purchase.
I wonder if they ship out of like Bellevue Valve headquarters, because I've actually gone to Valve headquarters to pick up old headsets before, along many moons ago. I wonder if I ordered one right now, could I just like drive down the road and go pick it up? You think Gabe would deliver it to me personally? Here you go, Kyle.
At the Valve store, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny to think of like the Valve Index being a stocking stuffer. It's really hard to imagine like you've slept on it this long and you've got a PC capable of it, whether you would like your parent had enough money and enough foresight to get that purchase made in advance, and like even to have the right pieces. Like, son, do you have the controllers? Do you have the base stations? Like, is that conversation really happening in 2021? It seems a little absurd to imagine that ever happening. But at the same time, I also try to imagine that kind of like that teenager who wants a career in making VR games eventually, or making virtual worlds. What headset do they go and get this holiday season, Heaney? And if they're going to make like their case to their parent that like, I need this for my career and my future, what headset does that kid get from their parents?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't wait to hear Heaney's answer on this.
I would say definitely not the Index, especially given that it hasn't had any price reductions. We're talking about a headset that is now 2.5 years old. It has lower resolution quite significantly than a headset that's available for $300. It still requires base stations. That field of view is great. That audio quality is beyond anything except the Reverb G2. You're going to get great tracking. But at the end of the day, it is just not still worth $1,000 2.5 years later. Valve needs to either release new hardware or bring down the price of the Index if it wants to keep it a competitive product. And that's why we've seen the Index's growth stall.
For years, because you raised the important question, Ian. I don't know how many times I've been asked this question, and I'm sure the both of you have heard it numerous times. If I am wanting to become a VR developer, where do I begin? What should I start with? What should I get? And since the very beginning, when Gear VR came out, I said, if you're going to get into VR development, develop for mobile first. Do not go and try to make that big high-end PC VR title that's going to require a 3090 Ti to run. Build something that will run on mobile, and then look to tweak it to make it even better for PC VR, maybe different texture packs, that sort of thing. Heaney, I'd be curious, what advice would you give to a new developer, brand new, straight out of high school, just bought a Quest, or should I buy a Quest? I guess it's kind of what we're saying is that you should buy a Quest 2. But what would be your advice in terms of
Kyle answered his own question in the question? Like,
in terms of advice, just in general.
I think we can all say here, obviously we try so carefully to give recommendations that are broad and let people make their own decisions. But given the way the market is right now, it's unfortunate to say this, but there really is no other headset to buy than Quest 2. And I think it's not a very controversial thing to say. I wish it wasn't that way. I wish I didn't have to say that. Hopefully in 2022, we start to see that not be true anymore.
It is controversial to say. Like, that's what I think this moment in time is a whole bunch of people going, why are you letting this happen? To like the market, right? Like, why are you letting this one headset own the market? And that's it. You're right. It isn't controversial. It's because it's true. But I think there's a certain sense of just defeat amongst like, if you go back over the history of HTC, just getting kind of destroyed as Facebook brought to bear its ability to take a loss on hardware.
Yeah, I would say if you're ideologically opposed to Meta to the point you will not purchase their hardware, or you do not want to have a personal Facebook account, which is required, the only other headset worth buying is the HP Reverb G2. It's at $600, and they recently slightly updated the hardware to improve the vertical range of the controller tracking, which makes it a little bit more viable. So yeah, if Quest 2, but if you absolutely will not buy Quest 2, HP Reverb G2.
Or if you've got a PlayStation, try to get a PSVR headset on discount. But it's hard to recommend that headset in 2021. Wait for a PSVR 2.
Yeah, it's coming.
But
out
I
next year.
hate saying wait. I still hate saying wait.
I just
I
threw
think you should wait.
image in our. If somebody can find a way to throw that up real quick. Yeah. I've been looking around, and every year I get the same questions of how do I answer the question of, well, what headset do I get? I've got aunts and uncles and cousins calling me, and I feel like the Quest 2 is the only answer. And I'm throwing an image in here, and hopefully we can get this up at some point, because there's a very real reason why that's going to be the answer for quite a while. And, right now as it stands, how many headsets can you go to a store, an actual retail store, and purchase a headset? So if I wanted to go buy a G2, a Reverb G2, am I all alone now in the studio? Did they both go away, or am I? Oh no. I guess we're still live. Okay. Well, I guess it's just me for a little while, folks. But no, what we were talking about. Hi, Heaney. Are you here?
I am, but I don't like being in this seat. I'm not used to being in this seat. This feels so strange.
I know, right?
I'm too close.
Am I being ghosted?
Did I move Heaney? Oh no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. You guys
pushed me out of the way and
musical
took my seat.
virtual chairs. Yeah.
I wanted to see if I got the image in the system, and I still don't see that image there. So I've got this other image I have that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, there's just it was an image of a whole bunch of Quest 2s in boxes.
Oh, the one on Twitter from like Best Buy, the one that just above the wall.
How many VR headsets can you go to a store and buy? And I've been saying this for years too, that, where are the headsets in store? If I have to go online and buy them, grandma's not going to buy one for little Billy or Susie for under the tree when she comes to visit. It's not going to happen. But if you can go to a store and actually purchase it, then hey, there it is. That's easy.
Yeah, I think this is a function of manufacturability, though. Quest 2 is by far of the headsets that are available the easiest to manufacture. That single panel design with the just slotting moving lenses is just a much easier prospect to get out there in millions of units than something that uses a complex mechanical interpupillary distance adjustment combined with spinning motors inside base stations. Just a world of difference in terms of being able to produce millions of them.
I feel bad for the kids. And I'm really sorry to you kids out there that are going to end up with some sort of Google Cardboard plastic knockoff. It's like, oh, here, I want an Oculus. Well, we have Oculus at home, and then this is the Oculus. I have a feeling that there's going to be some kids that are going to get some stuff this year that the parents or grandparents or relative or whoever is buying it buys them the wrong thing.
If we did a stupid video like Meta or Oculus, which VR headset to buy? ? Like, how many views do you think you would get from parents who have no idea what's going on, trying to understand what their kid just asked for?
Well, isn't that sort of why we created the new to VR section at UploadVR.com? Go check it out. The new to VR was, what do I get? What accessories do I need? Do I have to worry about certain games? Blah, blah, blah. That's what that section of our site is for.
We have it. It's just, I think what we've got is this absurd situation where Meta has the most popular consumer product on the market at the end of 2021, and they flippin' killed the name while it was on store shelves.
Right.
Like, it is this absurd situation that's like won't ever happen again, probably. But like, you move fast and break things. I guess this is what happens, right? You rename your product while it's on store shelves during the Christmas season. But at the other hand, you're still going to sell millions of them, and people will get through the confusion and go buy your thing that's just $300.
Look at how hard we fought. Look at how hard we fought for people calling it the Oculus. Like, I hated that. I hated that from the get-go. It's the Oculus. It was never the Oculus. It was always the Rift or the Rift S or the Quest. The Oculus is like saying the Ford. Like I don't know. I get so frustrated at that. And now they've changed it. So is it going to be the Meta?
I think it'll be the
what
Quest.
headset are you running? Oh, it's the Meta. Oh, look at him over there. He's playing on his
Mm.
Meta. Is that going to happen?
I think it might be the Meta. I think Kyle might have it right here.
Oh, boy.
That's the name they're going to go to eventually.
Oh,
I think they'll
boy.
just say the Quest. Quest seems like a
Well, they couldn't
sticky
do
enough
that
name for
before when it
gamers,
was
at
the
least.
the Oculus. The Oculus. Nobody ever
Yeah,
called it. I mean, those of
but
us
if-
in the know do, but
If Oculus is no longer on any of the marketing or packaging in the longer term, I can see that just switching to the Quest. But yeah, it is interesting to see. But I saw Andrew Bosworth, again, Facebook or Meta's upcoming CTO, answer this question just 48 hours ago. And his answer was along the lines of, okay, 5 to 10 million may seem like mainstream to the VR community because it's been in the 100,000s range for so long, but that's not really mainstream. It doesn't really matter if we change our name this early. Again, I'm paraphrasing his answer here. He was suggesting, what's really mainstream is 100 million and a billion, and by then no one will remember or care what it used to be called back in 2021.
I mean, we will.
We'll see if he's right. Yeah, we will. Oh, we will.
I already get mad at that.
Will the mass market? That's the question.
So I just going to throw out this comment that, I mean, we're talking about verbs here, right? We're talking about Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg trying to get his company into this place where it is the Google of the 21st century, where Googling is a verb that everyone everywhere uses to mean the same thing, searching something. And I know all those people commenting about Kleenex and like Facebook had this brand that was the equivalent of Kleenex and they just tossed it out the window. But it's like,
that was funny.
If they want, oh man, I don't even try for those jokes. And thanks, Kyle has to point them out to me. But like, I guess it's just absurd to think about this idea that like in 2 years' time, Meta is this verb. We're going to go on this Meta quest outside. We're going to maybe get a Meta Go headset if they bring back the Go brand and go with a $200 option. Then there's this Cambria headset, like what brand do they go with for that? Is it Horizon? But like they quite literally are trying to rebrand the entire organization from the sense of getting people to own the verbs that they're going to be doing with these devices.
So in our chat here, Nicholas, where was it here? Kyle, get over it. And I'm just being the old man who's frustrated. I'm not actually like harping on this. It's for conversation purposes because it is something that has happened, is that they have changed their name midstream, as Ian pointed out. It's like, did you really pick the right time of the year to make this choice? People are saying the Oculus all of the time. And now it's not called that anymore, even though the boxes on the wall actually say Oculus. I wish we could have gotten that graphic up, but there's a picture of just all these Oculus boxes. And I do think that their timing was poor. And to what Heaney was saying, Boz is like, get over it. It's fine. It'll be all right. Nobody will care. All right. Okay. I mean, I guess I'm over it there that easily. Thank you, Nicholas. You've guided me through this challenging time in my life, and I will go meta-ing, like Ian's throwing down the meta-ing, Pac-Manning.
Ooh, I like Bicycle's name, the Meta Expedition, because I think that's where I'm going with this, where like there's a couple things that Meta can do here to kind of redefine what its approach, right? One of the things I keep thinking about is literally the numbering system, right? Why would Meta go and follow the numbering systems of mobile phones if they're only going to release like one new VR device every year or every 2 years? Why not just do what they've been doing and just here's the new Quest every couple of years?
Right.
And I like the Expedition one because like when you start thinking about the amounts of time that they expect you to spend with these headsets, there's certain ones where maybe you just want to get in for 5 to 10 minutes. Maybe there's another one where you want to spend 20 minutes to 2 hours. But maybe there's another headset where they really expect you to spend 2 to 8 hours a day in that headset. and you can think about the amount of time being connected to the kind of brand that they maybe want to go on there.
So we had Quest, and then we had Quest 2, and then do they do Quest 3, the questioning or the meta-ing?
I mean, just go Quest after that. I don't understand why they wouldn't just call it Quest at one
the
point.
new Quest.
You buy in at that level, like that's your subscription plan. You get a new one whenever they come out with it, and why not just go that way? You're going to have to build these things for your prescription, for a lot of personalized details. It makes sense to buy into some kind of system that lets you update every couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, oh wait, you're talking about subscription hardware?
I would be very surprised to see Meta not go that route, where you just buy in at the $10 a month or even the free tier eventually, if they can actually get to that kind of scale. And when the new free headset comes out, you get one shipped to your door. Or when the new $100 headset comes out that you actually pay that subscription for, you get the new one. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. That's what Apple's doing.
Yeah, Apple does that already with the iPhones. It seems like no reason it shouldn't come to VR eventually, I guess.
I don't know if I'd be down for that.
And over on the Apple side of things, you buy the Pro tier, the iPhone tier, or the Mini tier, or Pro Max. They've got literally hundreds of iterations when you account for all the different colors and sizes of phones. But VR will eventually get there where you've got to get a headset that's sized for your particular body. They're going to have lots of different iterations of these things.
I keep waiting for the day where I can just scan my face, get a nice little scan of it, and send it off and have a face plate made, a face gasket made for my Quest to fit perfectly onto my face. Because I'll tell you, after a little while, my cheeks, they start to get a little rosy and feel like I'm constantly smiling. Of course, I am constantly smiling. I mean, that's just me. But
he had the weirdest look in his face earlier in this thing, where it left him on the smiling face, so he looked like the Joker for a good 20 minutes of this.
Yeah, you had a little creepy
the Joker.
You were in the constant state of enjoying yourself, which that can't be.
That would be terrifying in VR to see if he's smiling at you like that. Thankfully, I don't think it was like that on the stream. Yeah, but I think that idea of shaping the facial gasket to your face is interesting, though. Personally, I hope the headsets just go the way of getting so light and compact that it isn't an issue, rather than this constant current effort of balancing it out and clamping it to different parts of your head just because it is that 500-gram box currently.
As a bespectacled individual, I said it for you, Artful.
Pistol whip.
Pistol whip. No, as a bespectacled individual, I have iterated through the many generations of styles of glasses, and I can remember the ones that I had when I was a kid that were so big that if I smiled, I smudged the bottom of the lenses. Those of you who wore glasses know. And then I've gone to the ones with the little nose pads, and they sit on your nose. And then after a year or two of wearing that style, you get these little indents on your nose. It's really creepy. Then now I'm switched back to the kind of military Gomer Pyle style glasses, and it just kind of sits. But now I'm always worried about my glasses sliding off down my nose, and then I'm looking over them like an old man. I feel like I'm doing that with the VR headsets too. Different weight, different styles, different ways that it attaches to my face. There's different challenges. Some are way up high. Some of them, I'm adjusting my headset. You guys can't see that, but yeah.
Kyle, I'm just going to throw this out there. When was the last time you got your prescription, you actually got your eyes checked?
It has been a minute, probably 2 minutes, and that is bad.
Did they take a picture of your retinas?
No. What?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Take a picture of my retinas?
Yeah, I mean, the last time I went to the eye doctor, when I actually got my prescription filled the one time, I remember the doctor specifically took images of my eyes, and as I recall, the idea being that you could come back 5 or 10 years later and potentially see changes in your retinas that you wouldn't be able to see any otherwise. Maybe you get an early look at something that could hurt you by having that kind of insight over time, the same way an X-ray could give you that insight.
I don't know about that, man. I don't want them taking pictures of my retina, because then what happens when retina scans become a thing? And this is some like tinfoil hat stuff.
Oh man, I just set off Kyle. No, all I'm getting at is these. When we start talking eye tracking, we start getting to a layer of like looking inside your body and seeing your rhythms and using machine learning to look at those things to find insights about your health that you may not realize. So like Apple is doing this thing where it's nudging you in the right direction all the time, where they've got these circles on your fitness bands that you try to, close each day. You have to stand up out of your chair 10 hours a day. You have to exercise for a certain number of minutes and actually be active a certain number of minutes. Like, nudging you is the positive way of showing you all that data. Meta is going to go down that same exact route with all the data that they can get out of these headsets. But I mean, it starts to get very scary when you start thinking about the things these headsets can know about your health before you do.
Yeah, it is kind of freaky. You talked about eye tracking, and something that we haven't talked about yet, because we really don't have a mainstream consumer product out that does eye tracking. Wait until everybody finds out that your eyelashes, if you have big, long, luscious eyelashes like I do, man, it screws with the eye tracking something awful. So we haven't talked about that, but we will someday when that becomes apparent. Or if you have like really squinty, lazy eyes, or you're, there are other problems with eyes. I mean, there's all sorts of different reasons why eye tracking wouldn't work for everybody. It's just like people who have outlier IPDs. Like if your IPD is like set, if like your ET, like VR is a bad thing for you. I thought that was funny. Xfinity had that commercial where ET was wearing the Go.
Yeah.
In that commercial. There's no way ET would ever be able to do a VR headset. No headset can handle ET's IPD. I'm sorry. Wow, that was a random tangent. Hey, should we should we jump in? Yeah, 3D. Oh man, digging deep in there. All right, well, should we talk about the last piece of news? Because I think our thumbnail kind of requires that we do.
Oh, is it Gabe? Are we going to talk about Gabe Newell?
I guess so.
Oh, wow.
All right, let's do it. All right. So, last piece of news for the day. Valve CEO confirmed work on new headsets back in May. Gabe Newell made some comments confirming work on new headsets and games at Valve, which went unnoticed until recently. Sadly, it's Bradley that found this, right? Is that accurate?
Yep, Brad Lynch. Sadly, it's Bradley found it. I'm not sure if it was him specifically or one of his fans on his Discord, but for sure he was the first to surface it. But these comments came from back in May, so no one really picked them up until now. And Gabe simply mentions that they are working on headsets, plural. So that's an interesting thing to say.
When I heard this originally, I thought, okay, right, but I mean, they do 1 million internal headsets like all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got the exact quote here. He says, we're making big investments in new headsets and games for those application categories, VR and AR, but also looking further down the road and saying, what does that evolve into? And the context here is that this was a talk about, or Gabe was currently talking at the time about brain-computer interfaces, and he was giving his view that VR and AR are just kind of transitionary technologies towards direct brain-computer interfaces. And as he was pointing out, that is not a universal view, and that is not a non-controversial view.
So, Dell, I see you in the chat here. You want to drive to Bellevue with me? We'll go knock on the door. We'll be like, Gabe, let us in. Give us these headsets. I don't really think
he's not even there. He's in New Zealand. You're gonna have to get up.
Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah. I imagine there's like a Gabe like virtual bot, that just kind of runs around.
You're a billionaire. All right, you're Gabe Newell. You're a billionaire. Yeah. The company that made all the special effects for all those Lord of the Rings movies just sold to Epic's metaverse, right? So they're doing things with Epic. There's all these Hobbit homes, right? I would buy out all the Hobbit homes in New Zealand and turn them into Valve South, right? Like that could be Valve's South headquarters in the southern world, and turn it into like a, I don't know, VR AR research playground.
Yeah,
And
but isn't New Zealand like locked down? Like you have to have like a solid gold gift card to get in, or entrance card.
Valve can pay for like a new immigration system there, where you just you leave all of your goods and items from the other continents at the entry point and go through the air what's the rooms that you go through in a space station?
Airlock.
Yeah, airlock. Go through the airlock, and then you're free to go into New Zealand. And
so, like I was saying, though, I do think that these headsets that he was alluding to are simply internals. I mean, I've been to places and seen things, I don't want to break any NDAs or anything, but a lot of times you see people with stuff on their head and I'm like, that is a headset. And then you never see it again because it's an internal prototype. And I am pretty sure that that's what he was referring to. I don't think we're talking about Valve lining up a series of real legit headsets that are going to be consumer ready. I don't know, Heaney, do you think that that's what he's talking about, or is it just iterations of what they've already got going on in development?
Well, I think it's impossible to tell, but I think these are two separate questions here. There's one question is Gabe referring to products that are in development? And the second question is, will those products ever actually see the light of day? Because Gabe has made a lot of these big statements in the past on VR, and few of them have actually come true. For example, when the Index launched in June 2019, 2.5 years ago, he said that they're looking into several methods to making it wireless. And 2.5 years later, we haven't seen any tease or any detail or product announcement of any sort on that front. In February 2017, he called wireless VR a solved problem and said that it would be an add-on that year, and that headsets from 2018 onwards would have wireless built in. So I think this is just another one of those claims by Newell that may or may not come true, and we need to wait for real concrete product announcements from Valve to really make an assessment of their interest in this space.
Can I make a couple of comments? I want to apologize first for getting that wrong about Weta. It was Unity that bought Weta, the special effects company, not Epic. But still, that's going to be a big play from Unity to combine those.
If Epic had maybe actually, no, it's probably been 2 years. So who the hell knows where it's going? Oh, we're back on. Oh, hi. Okay. So to answer Norman Robinson, he asked the question, how do you verify the identity of people within the metaverse without a retina scan verified by a CA, such as GoDaddy, etc.? That is one method. Bioscan, bio this, bio that. That's one way. But license people as driver's licenses, IDs, passports. None of that has any biometric type of thing. So, I don't know. Facebook. It's not like people are randomly making new Facebook accounts all the time, right, Ian?
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I did that. Yeah, I set up a new Facebook account quite recently, just to test something, because I wanted to see like what happens when you set up a new headset these days. Is it possible to like do it without a Facebook account? And no, I did need to go and set up a Facebook account, but I did set up a new Oculus user ID in the year 2021, which was a little strange to kind of do at the same time.
Yeah, so we've got this picture of Gabe up now. I feel like I could cosplay as Gabe if I wanted to. What do you think I could transform myself into Gabe and screw with people at expos and stuff?
Yeah, you could pull it off. I don't know if Heaney's back. I don't know.
I know. I just joined in there. Yeah.
I know.
I'm kind of considering it. If you had one of those people who's like an expert at costumes and disguises, like one of those intelligence agency people, I'd say you could probably do it. Be a lot of effort though.
he took that seriously as like, I know some people in the CIA who could pull that off for you.
Yeah, I could make that happen.
I feel like a lot of
Gabe
people
could
would be
just
very annoyed,
go away.
and you would probably only get asked the same question the entire day, and you would probably get just as annoyed. You would understand why Gabe moved to New Zealand when all you heard was the number 3 over and over again.
So what I would do is if I was cosplaying as Gabe and somebody came up, really thought I was Gabe and said, "Oh, Half-Life 3, I'd be like, "Don't worry, it's coming out on the Index 2, which we're internally calling it the glossary." And then I would just walk away and wait for the internet to explode with that news. Is that
all right? So, go back to the verification thing. The one back to that original question. I think like the ability to kind of like have small groups verify each other is an interesting thing, and having just a number or a random string being like the identifier between people, and then like having nicknames that you can all identify. There is like a federated, decentralized way to verify one another in very large groups of people. But like, is it going to be any easier than just, submit your photo ID?
I don't know. I don't get hung up on this because the whole idea of the metaverse, right, is that you don't have to be who you really are. I mean, oh man, this opens up a whole bucket of questions and comments.
Did we get from Gabe's comments to?
There was a
decentralized authentication. Oh right, okay.
There was a super chat question. Somebody paid for us to talk about this, so we're doing it. Brought to you by Carl's Jr.
I mean, that's true. I mean, if you have a question, put some money behind that question, and maybe we'll address it.
If you're willing to pay for it, I'll answer any question you got.
It may not be a good answer. That's the thing. We're sorry in advance for whatever answer he comes up with, because I
didn't say it'd be a good answer. I just said we would answer it.
Yeah.
Well, my answer to this question is why state without a retina scan? Why is a retina scan not a valid way of authenticating?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it is.
I mean, if we're all using fingerprints today, I don't see why a retinal scan's any different
How
from
many
a fundamental
things do you?
privacy
I mean, well,
perspective.
okay, yeah.
Well, Heaney and I have talked about this a lot, about the language that Meta uses, that Facebook used, now Meta uses in communicating the way its technology functions. Apple is kind of one of the best at this in terms of just branding something in a way that the technology itself becomes invisible, and you get this feature that you kind of trust without even actually knowing how it functions underneath.
Although,
yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Eye ID doesn't really roll off the tongue the same way as Face ID or Touch ID.
Yeah.
What
was the term? The eyelids is what I expected them to do for the longest term and time, and then they got rid of the eye branding, like Apple Eyes. Is that what we're gonna have in the future?
Eyes.
Betty Davis eyes. I don't know.
I just think it's funny how sometimes we talk about how the privacy concerns about authenticating this way in VR headsets, and then we all pick up this little slab with 2 cameras and a high quality microphone and a fingerprint sensor or a little sensor that scans your freaking face in 3 dimensions and then verifies you. It's like, we're already there. We're already in this era of digital authentication through biometrics.
I've been sitting, and I know the whole thing is all about privacy and, personal data and all that stuff. And every once in a while I find myself sitting there and I'm staring at my phone, and I can see the little like blinking off in the corner. It's like, okay, it's scanning me and all that stuff. And it's like,
it's funny.
Is somebody watching me? Is somebody listening to me
VR
right
headset
now?
It's funny. The VR headset has actually alerted me to that sensor doing its thing, right? Like you'll often see in the past the review on your Quest 2, the iPhone doing its illumination
Flicker.
of the surrounding landscape.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when I have my pass-through on. I was doing cubism the other day, Heaney, with the pass-through. And my phone, every once in a while, would be like, well, I'd see it flickering. to see if I'm looking at it, and it's a little spooky. And actually, kind of, Heaney. Okay, all right, everybody, listen. Heaney was right. The black and white pass through on the Quest 2 is not adequate for AR. You can quote me. You can chop this out and make a GIF out of it. I don't care. Heaney, you were right. I'm sorry.
It's okay. You'll be right when Cambria comes out.
I want to make a couple comments here on the tricorder. I've talked about it previously. Tricorder is the little handheld scanner device that they have in Star Trek. And the only difference between a tricorder and what we have right now with our iPhone cameras is the user interface, to be perfectly honest. So like the camera is looking through and doing object recognition on everything in the landscape. And the only thing we're not like getting is all that data about the landscape. There's no user interface yet for showing us all this useful data about the world around us. And like there is this quote that's been floating around on Twitter that it's something like, what is it? Something is the UI of AR. What was it? I'm forgetting the quote now. Someone in our comments will give us the quote, but like, data is giving us. We need to have incredible amounts of data about the environment around us, and then the way things become so much fun to look at. Like one of the things I want visualizations of all the electromagnetic waves around me. I want to see my Wi-Fi base station visualized in the corner of my room, irradiating whatever A, B, G, N, AC signals it is doing into the air around me. And I want that for my cell signals, for everything. And we'll be able to visualize that with the headsets in the future.
Ian, the next time we get together in Expo, I got something that'll make you see that kind of stuff. I'll hook you up. All right.
It's true. I mean, that is what this becomes comparable to.
Norman has asked another question. How does an employer ensure the person within an interview isn't someone else without a CA of some sort verifying the avatar as the right person? Yeah. Well, I mean, so I have been a boss and have employed people and have done background checks on folks and asked them questions and stuff. And so it's very unlikely that an employer, is going to be duped by someone into thinking that they're employing the wrong, like somebody who is faking being somebody else. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm saying the likelihood of that happening is rare.
Well, I think Norman is kind of referring to maybe the far future when a lot of the economy is in the metaverse, if that does indeed happen. And I think it does come back to what we were saying. You know, we spoke to Meta when it was Facebook a few years ago. Ian got this answer out of them because Ian asked, you know, how will you make sure that someone can't just take my photorealistic avatar and pretend to be me? Because right now, if you want to pretend to be me in this avatar, it's not really a huge deal. But if it looks exactly like me, then it becomes a potentially society-altering deal. And they did talk about the fact that they're looking into this in a very preliminary sense. But right now, the iris scan is the most obvious path forward. You would lock the avatar to the iris in the same way that you have a password for an account on a digital system. You have a biometric password for a piece of software being your avatar.
Yeah, you kind of broke me with that.
OBO in the comments says, I wish someone would impersonate me at work. Totally, right? You do the work and I'll collect the money.
Two funny stories there. Like, I do remember this report somewhere in the history of like the internet legends of like someone who outsourced themselves and then, you know, just gave their credentials on a I can't think of the term when you're tunneling into another computer, virtual machine, gave that, you know, to someone in another country and let them do their job for them, and got away with it for quite a long time while they, you know, raided in World of Warcraft for 6 months or something. I think that's one of those internet urban legends. Yeah, I did try to understand this idea of like authentication in VR, and it does seem like inevitable that these headsets are going to authenticate based on your a whole lot of biometric signals, including face shape and retina and all those things. Um, the I guess I'm curious how far we get without those. Like, if you don't have that feature, what do you get access to in the metaverse, and what don't you get access to if you don't have that authentication layer? And the thing that I was sort of laughing about there, Heaney, was like thinking about minting your own avatar as an NFT, and how stupid how like I look at the whole NFT cryptocurrency craze as a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of people looking to grift and get money out of unsuspecting people. But there is this concept of locking down personal property as this critical function of all this stuff. And if your avatar can't be impersonated, then you could have this unique signature that other people can't have, or you could sell the rights to. That's where you start getting real interesting, where like you see The Rock go into Fortnite. Interesting things start happening at that level.
Yeah, Anthony Hergo brought that up in the comment. He said NFT avatar could solve this. And it's right that NFTs could solve one half of this equation in that you can then associate an avatar with a unique user ID, but you still have to have that actual association between the user ID and the human being using the headset, because otherwise, what are you associating that user ID to? I think it's important to note that in terms of iris scanning, that's already how you can log into Magic Leap 2 and HoloLens. Magic Leap 1 and HoloLens 2, sorry. They already allow you to log in as that. Microsoft has talked recently about wanting to phase out passwords in general, so I wonder how we'll see that kind of play out to their HoloLens strategy over time.
Are our avatars currently fungible?
Yes. Anyone,
okay.
if someone could figure out your Oculus user ID, which wouldn't be that
I don't
hard,
know if
they could.
Were you here,
They could
Heaney? I don't know if you were here when Kyle wanted to sell his like chest plate to the highest advertiser. Like one of our commenters, he wants to sell and let them put a comment on his avatar.
Yeah, like somebody funge me. I'm fungible. Okay, look at this right here. This tie, you can funge this tie if you wanted to. I'm trying to grab my tie. I can't. The head tracking, the hand tracking. Yeah,
funge
so
me.
yes.
Man.
So yeah, if you're not going to funge yourself, then you can come funge me. Words are funny, especially verbs. All right, so Gabe said new headsets, and that's what this conversation is.
Oh man, I haven't even got to say my piece about the brain research that I did for like 2 days, and just melted my brain trying to figure out what's up with Galea here. All right, so they're calling it Galea. That's what OpenBCI is building. It's a brain-computer interface with a whole host of sensors to sense some signals through the scalp of your head, essentially. And there's this really, really great chart that was done by, I think it was Media Lab at MIT, where they kind of describe all the different things that they can get out of the different signals that are coming out of this OpenBCI Galea system. But I went to the Galea website on the OpenBCI's website, and I signed up for their newsletter. You get their email, and they say early in 2022, they're going to send out 100 Valve Index headsets with this Galea face gasket and head strap unit going around your whole skull. And it's going to use this BrainFlow API system to give you information about all those extra signals that the system is getting out of all those extra sensors on your head. And that's exactly what Gabe has been referring to, that Heaney referred to back earlier before we went off on those ridiculous tangents. We could imagine the headsets that Newell is referring to here could be a proof of concept standalone headset from Valve. It could be an Index 2 with eye tracking or any other number of things. It could be still something else entirely. And that's what I'm getting at with, like, an Index 2 could theoretically have eye tracking and some of these Galea sensors, and you've got something that dramatically changes the VR landscape.
Can I just point out, Ian, that while Heaney had his head like in between us while he was typing on his computer, you and I both naturally cocked our head a little bit to see around him. And I just find that valuable to point out that the same social cues of somebody standing on our way, we still kind of leaned over a little bit. But anyway, Dell.
Cast the Glia image if you can. Ian.
Dell says, I want to make a perfect digital twin of myself with perfect AI of myself so I don't have to do Zoom calls. Where can I buy this plugin for Unreal 5? Dell, email me after the show, and I'll send you. I wrote a plugin that gives you. I'm not Dell. He's going to love it. It's going to be totally great. I have a full size scan of Dell, and you just do this with your hand, and it's like a puppet Dell. And it works.
All right, so this is the image I was able to find on the Glia website that shows the strap portion on the Index. This is what this organization is more or less saying, that they're going to ship out 100 of these to the best people that they've picked from their applicants. So you can go and apply and fill out their questionnaire. I went and filled out this questionnaire, took some screenshots of it. It was asking questions like, how much would you pay for a device that was just the sensors on this unit? And it's like, is it $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000? It's like, I thought long and hard about that question. It's like, I would spend $0 on a device that, I mean, I want all of those additional features, but they haven't done anything to sell me on how it's going to make the experience considerably better. And obviously this is like this device and the information that you can get out of it is going to make the games you'll want to play around like mid-decade, I would think, right?
Yeah, it was interesting to hear Gabe about 6 months ago talk about the potential uses for brain reading, in that if a game is not difficult enough, it can dynamically become more difficult. Or if you're supposed to be afraid in a horror game and you're not afraid, they can adapt it. Things like that. I'm not 100% sure. Like you say, we really have to see good demo examples. What we can say for sure is that Newell seems a lot more interested in brain-computer interfaces than he does in VR and AR. And there has always been this kind of assumption in the community that Gabe is the world's biggest VR and AR fan. But the Valve's actions and Gabe's kind of comments over the years don't really support that idea. So it's interesting to see that this is a emerging technology he seems to be interested in, and that's why you now see Valve start to put all this effort into the space, including this Galia hardware.
Is Gabe actually like, he keeps talking about that it will lead to this. I've read that several times. He's like, this will lead to the brain interface. It doesn't necessarily give his opinion on it. It's just a natural progression of it. Is he actually saying he's high on this? Like he thinks it's a good idea? Or is he just saying that he thinks it'll lead there?
No, he's in quite a few interviews now. He's talked about how he thinks it's a good idea, how he thinks it's going to be very important for gaming. And there is kind of this impression I get from him that VR and AR really is just this temporary stepping stone on the way to this brain-computer interface. And, you know, while we're currently in an era where there's a lot of advancements being made in terms of reading from the brain, to really get to the kind of future that he's alluding to and that others would allude to, what we need to see is some sort of advancement on writing to the brain. And I can't see how that's going to happen anytime soon. Not only do you have the issue of how can you actually do it precisely in a way that gives the input you want, but you also have the massive, massive, massive safety issue of what if you accidentally give someone a horrific experience by, you know, a software bug, which I don't see how those two issues are solvable in the scale of decades, never mind.
All right, Heaney, you're not allowed to talk about writing to my brain anymore.
Yeah.
The new update.
Yeah, I'm having deja vu here. You guys talking about this.
I'm like, I'll come to your virtual world. I'll visit with it. I'll put the headset on my face, but like, I'm not going to give you write access to my brain, bro.
Read only. Pocket full of ROMs.
Yeah, it's just so interesting to see how much hype there is around BCI when, as far as I know, and you know, I do try to keep up on this, there is really no conceivable technology that exists yet to write to someone's brain. You can read, and there's huge amount of progress being made, but how the hell would you actually write to someone's brain?
Well,
I am dying to see how any of this works. Like, I want to put this on my head and try something. I want to get a sense of how good this actually is right now.
So I think I tried Neurable, I think was the name of it, at like a SIGGRAPH a long time ago, several years ago at this point, and it's very similar kind of head strap on a Vive. I think it was an add-on, and like there was this little training session where you kind of go through a demo, and it tries to kind of you teach it a pattern that like your brain is thinking, and then it looks for that pattern in the future. And I think that's kind of like what Gabe is getting at with that comment of we have yet to see the no-brainer like must use killer scenario for this. But the moment you kind of use it, you realize you don't want to go back to the system we had before. And there was even like some comments here where I've come back to this. It's changed over my time with it, but I remember the first year I had Index, I was going back and forth between Index and Quest. Then the second year I started using Quest more, and then Quest 2. And now this year I'm using Quest 2 almost all the time, and Index, like it really have to convince me to like break out in Index, set up the tracking, and do all those things. Where it's so winning out, this standalone experience. But like if you can add all the extra sensors in here where the things I'm throwing go exactly where I intend them to, that's going to be worth paying a lot of extra money for. Like I want a VR headset that knows where I'm throwing things every single time, and not like sometimes when I throw something, it flies off into space. I don't want that experience anymore going forward.
Just to reply to Opsar's comment here, doesn't write access already exist with Neuralink? No, Musk has talked about that as an aspiration. Neither he nor Neuralink have presented any technology that would actually make that possible. Neuralink is making huge strides in reading, though, and you can't take that away from them. They are definitely doing that, but there's no, again, what technology would actually perform the writing? How does that work?
I mean, I think at some point we're going to have to see, like they'll have a monkey attached to like Neuralink. All of a sudden the monkey comes up and he goes, "I know Kung Fu and English," apparently. So, I mean, that's kind of cool to see that sort of thing. But I mean, we're
Did you see the pig demo? The pig demo was the most awkward. Oh my gosh, at Neuralink.
So odd.
Incredibly impressive though.
Elon Musk going around, hey, get those pigs to come around. Like he's like really upset that the pigs won't come around, and
like a remote control animal.
Yeah,
or remote control Kyle avatar, apparently.
Thanks again.
Dell's asking another question. Yeah. How realistic is it for Apple to come out with a VR HMD or VR AR hybrid, which disrupts Meta and the Quest? So that is a fantastic question. The word realistic, really realistically, I believe that within the next 364 and a half days, there may be some information that can answer your question. The word disrupt, will an announcement of an upcoming product disrupt what Meta is currently doing?
No.
I don't think
you're
so.
Talking about announcements. You're talking about the completely wrong thing. When I'm talking about the price of the device is what would take to disrupt what Meta is doing. Like, how can Apple innovate with its business model in order to disrupt Meta is like the more relevant question, because yes, we expect an Apple headset in the next year or two. We think there's enough evidence that it is very, very likely that Apple's going to do a headset, but they're going to be faced with the same thing that Google faced. And that's, they know Meta is going to undercut you on price. And if Apple can't differentiate in terms of software or features in a substantial way, it might never ship. Like if you can't do that, I wouldn't ship it. Yeah, I'll put it
Is it safe to assume that if Apple makes the announcement that the item, that the product exists, that means that it's already in the hands of developers who are creating content for it? Or is the announcement going to occur before dev kits go out?
The first studios, probably a handful of studios, the larger companies will have gotten it before it's announced, just like with the iPad and some of their Apple TV when they added. But the smaller studios wouldn't likely get it until the WWDC announcement. But yeah, I think just to answer that question about disrupt, I think it's likely that Apple could disrupt Meta from the sense that they could present a very different view of what VR and AR software looks like, but not in the market because, as Ian's mentioned, the price would just be too high in comparison.
I don't think it will disrupt. I think it will add on to the broader, it'll create a new genre of users. I don't think it will disrupt. I think that the VR gaming headset kind of mentality that Meta is pushing right now will still continue. But on the other side, there will be this growth of a more, I don't think people are going to want to play games on the AR headsets or the Apple headsets. Come on, man. I mean, how many games have you played in full completion on a Mac? How many? Just name one. Name one game that you've played on a Mac computer.
Maybe Myst. Maybe the original Myst might have been on a Mac. I can't remember if it was a PC or a Mac.
I'm not saying that Mac gamers don't exist. I'm not saying that doesn't happen.
But what does that have to do with like playing an AR version of Zombies, where like you're one of like 6 survivors in your town, and the rest of the city is zombies? Like that's not any
see, this is a whole debate
to what
though.
you just talked about. Like it's a completely different universe.
I think that people will use the Apple headsets for a different purpose than they will with the Meta headsets. So the word disrupt, I think it'll just why not both? You know, I mean, I think both will exist for different user bases for different reasons.
Especially if it's true that it doesn't have gaming like controllers, you can definitely see that gaming will be less of a focus. But we don't really know what the input method will be just yet.
It's funny to think of generalized personal computing. This is the target that Facebook Meta is going for with the Quest 2. And it's something that Apple just spent a decade and a half trying to build out with its iPhone platform, which started out with like 3 things, right? It was an iPod, it was a Safari device with the full web, and it was a phone calling device with visual voicemail. Like you didn't have to call your voicemail company anymore to get your voice messages. A VR headset today is a great gaming device, and you can do these amazing games with it, but it hasn't filled out those other use cases yet. And it's one of those things like a notes app, a calendar app, a calculator app. I have none of those things on a Quest, and I would expect to see a lot of those things out of the box on a VR headset from Apple.
There are quite a number of people in the chat who are making the comment, well, you know, iPhones, that they've got a very successful gaming. I'm not talking about a smartphone. I'm talking about a headset that is supposed to have the silicon to give it the power of an M1 Mac laptop. That's the whole point to this headset. The rumors is that that's what it's going to be. Playing smartphone games on your iPhone, it has to be more than that on this headset. If it's just that, then go put your iPhone in a cardboard and have all the developers build cardboard apps for you. That's not what we want. We want an actual legit. A lot of the arguments and debates about the gaming experiences on the current Quest headsets or headsets that are available right now is, oh, well, the games look too cartoony or the games aren't realistic enough. I don't see Apple coming out with a headset that I think it'll be a Venn diagram. I think there will be a lot of practical applications for it. And I think that the Quest will be mostly gaming and stuff. And then there will be this overlap where the Apple does some gaming and the Quest does some practical application stuff. This is just my opinion. You can disagree with me, but I just don't see it being a heavy gaming. Prove me wrong though, Apple, please. I hope I'm wrong on this.
Pokemon Go. That's the only game it needs.
Do you play it right now? Do you play Pokemon Go right now?
I'm lapsed for the last few weeks, but I did play it
But
like yesterday.
you
I
did
caught
play
a
it
couple
for a little while, and
Pokemon.
then you stopped, just like a lot of people do with smartphone games. Yeah, I don't know.
I think Go may work better for glasses that you can kind of use outside the home. For in the home, though, I do agree with you, and we will see mixed reality games that take place within your house as the setting. The question is, are those really going to be as compelling and bring people back for hours and hours like the immersive games on Quest 2 do? I do think from a hardware perspective, though, we're seeing some people in the comments say that how Apple might differentiate itself. I think Project Cambria, Meta's upcoming high-end headset, will probably, from a hardware and use case perspective, be a lot more similar to the Apple headset than people are expecting. But I'll reiterate my comment again, where I think where Apple could really differentiate itself is software, because the Quest system software is still kind of old-fashioned and clunky and based on a one app at a time mentality. And Ian, as you say, if you could bring up your calculator and your notes app at any time, anywhere within that Apple headset and multitask truly, then they do have an opportunity to deliver something that Meta just doesn't today.
I'm excited to see the chat got so lively when I said something controversial about gaming on an Apple device. I'm so happy to see that is still a vibrant and lively conversation that is happening.
So I'm going to throw it out there also, Kyle. There's people have been speculating about it, but I will claim to have been out there for years now saying that a team up between Valve and Apple has made sense for those two companies for just way, way, way too long. And the only thing that would keep them from teaming up is they want the bigger slice of the gaming pie. Like it's all or nothing for one or the other. And I think we're at this point where they're realizing like that's not going to happen. That's kind of like what this metaverse conversation is largely about, is like, this is too big for one company and let's figure out what things we agree on. I would love to see a team up between Valve and Apple to fill that gap in gaming that you're talking about. I want to mention a QR code. There was comments about passwords, and there was a comment here about LastPass. Passwords suck. Have either of you used a QR code on your TV to log into something?
No.
I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've used it on Switch where they show a QR code up on the TV, and then you just pull out your phone and point it at the QR code.
Oh,
and then
yes, I have.
Yeah, it's such an efficient way to log into some of these devices. Why can't I pull out my iPhone and like have the VR headset broadcast a QR code to my phone, or like that it lets me log in that way? Like what's holding up my phone from being able to be a login device for my experiences beyond facial capture?
Wait, so
I should be able to. Yeah.
The headset reads the QR code on your phone? Is that what you're saying?
The example I saw is like I saw this at a conference, but like you could imagine we had a QR code floating in our studio right here, and I take my phone out and pull my headset off and put my phone up to the lenses to be able to do that. Like, it's absurd, right? No, I don't want to ever do that. But why can't the VR headset, the system, whatever this API is, know that a camera is pointed at the virtual space and send that virtual content directly to the phone?
That's what the chips are for that are in your bloodstream now.
Oh my God.
But wait, what's the point in using a physical hardware device when you can have a virtual camera in VR with you at any time?
You can just be a virtual object that's tracked 1-to-1 a little bit better.
But your hands are already
hold
tracked.
the camera doing this.
But you're doing it right now.
Do you want to do this? Like, is this the way we're going to do it?
Yeah, why
are you ready?
Not? I don't understand.
Because I know that system has been used.
I do think that's a good idea to go like that. I just don't understand the leap to why you need to, pick off your phone or go into your drawer and find your phone, and why the need for a physical piece of hardware for that?
That's a fair point.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna do this up on my forehead, and it'll snap the picture. There you go. There's a shot for you. Screenshot. Yeah. So it looks like we have successfully aggravated all of our Apple fans. That's cool. Just so you know, I'm sporting an iPhone and have been for years. And I'm sure Dell is very happy to hear that. Ian, you are sporting an iPhone currently,
No, I use
right?
Android. I've only ever used Android. No, I'm just kidding. I use iPhone for everything. Yeah.
I've done both. I've learned both the light and dark side of the Force. So I feel very multi-faceted in my opinions. I just don't play games on my Mac. And
they're so similar these days.
Yeah, I know. It's really
Android and
silly.
iPhone used to be so different, but today they're so similar that I don't understand people that have an extremely strong preference one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I just try to use both. So, oh, wow. Yeah, no, these conversations, they just go off on a tangent. This is why it's so much fun, Ian, when you and I did the whole Q&A thing the other day. For those of you who tuned in for that, we did some Q&A where people came in, just asked us questions. We talked about some accessories sort of as a MacGuffin for the conversation. But yeah, if you guys would like that type of quality content to continue, please make notes of that. Drop us a line. Talk to us on social media, the Twitters and the Facebooks and the stuff like that. Yeah, Ian, do you, as we kind of close this up, as you can tell, I'm kind of working my way out of the show. Ian, what kind of parting words of wisdom, new, fun, exciting things that are coming up this week that we can tell the audience about?
Yeah, should check back on Thursday, see what Jamie and Xena have to say for the Gamescast. Sort of get more time with After the Fall. We obviously have our first impressions up there, but we're entering this last phase of the year where all the VR apps are going to kind of get their holiday updates, their best face forward for the influx of what we expect to be millions of new headsets opened between now and kind of like New Year's Day. So it's going to be a lot of coverage from us as we kind of try to keep up with all those software updates that are hitting.
Cool. Heaney, what about you?
I would definitely echo to go and check out Jamie's review and progress of After the Fall, available on UploadVR.com right now. Just to reply to Butter Something's comment, he said, "Y'all for sure need to watch the Sadly It's Bradley stuff." We have, and if you actually go back a few episodes and look where we talked about the Valve Deckard leak on this show, you can hear us give our views on that. We have, how do I say this? We have some of what Bradley is saying is definitely evidence backed, and other stuff we would need to wait for more sources until we can start reporting that.
Yeah, as much as I'd like to have a rumor-based show where all we talk about is the rumors, that's not really our cup of tea. I don't know. Do we want that? Do we want to start talking more about the rumors? It's not news. We don't know for sure. So,
I mean, we do report on rumors when they come from reliable sources or multiple sources, but when it's more just kind of putting dots together on speculative basis, we don't want to go there, I don't think.
Yeah, but patents are a bad place to start analyzing product plans from. And you saw us in this show really break apart some of these comments about headsets that are being pursued. If you go back into some of the stuff that Valve has done in particular, they had something called the Vader headset. And they said, they're on the record as saying it would have cost thousands and thousands of dollars to actually ship that unit with all of those things in it. It's pretty apparent that all of these major companies have the talent and the resources to prototype whatever the hell they want. The question is whether they actually come out and ship it.
So I do want to make a comment here. Beeman Dev has asked, is Ian Jared Dunn from Silicon Valley? I have made that comparison myself. So now that somebody else has said it,
I'll take the Carl Sagan. I don't want to be Jared. Jeez.
You don't want to be Jared?
Sagan.
I don't know. Jared's a good character. Anyway, yeah. So I do watch all of the stuff that other content creators make. I like to keep up on stuff. I've seen Brad's stuff. I've seen other shows. I try to join in on chats at live shows that other content creators make. I think it, takes a village, a virtual village of all of us to keep y'all entertained and informed.
Yeah, and sometimes there are rumors for which we have information that they are not true and we choose not to report them. For example, quite a few of the content creators were reporting around Connect that there was going to be a Quest 2 Plus launched. And, I said on this show at the time, it simply doesn't exist. And so there are some other things like that you will see where there's information that we see that we don't have enough sources to verify that it's not real, but we have a good indication that it's probably not real. So if you do see a rumor out there that we aren't covering and you're wondering, that's mysterious, why aren't they covering it? It's probably because we have a good basis for knowing that it's probably not real.
Yeah, that does happen a few times. Yeah. So anyway, if you would like to read legit vetted news, you can go to UploadVR.com and read all the amazing articles that we put up on a regular basis. You can also check out our YouTube channel that has all sorts of amazing fun videos just like this one. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, make comments, and all the other stuff. Is that it, guys? Are we ready to rock? Close this one down, call it a show. All right, everyone. Well, hey, as usual, thanks to the live chat in our YouTube channel. And thank you all very much for watching, listening. We'll see you in the future. Bye-bye.